Everyone wants successes and everyone wants happiness. But how do we get more success and how do we get more happiness with the least amount of effort? Hi everyone, welcome to the Tony Tan Show and podcast. To understand this and to know more about these secrets, we would like to invite and welcome our guest, the world's #1 wisdom coach, Vikas Malkani, to our show, and he will share with you these awesome secrets. So all of us, let's welcome Vikas. Hi Vikas. Really, welcome back to the Tony Tan Show. So excited to have you back for another one of our episodes. In fact, you are the only guest that we have invited so far for a second episode to date.
Well, thank you, Tony. I'm very happy to be here, and I think I am more excited than you.
Yeah, the last episode, right, Wisdom in this World of Digital Innovation, has got so many good feedback from our audiences, and everybody's so excited that they want to know more. We have no choice but to bring you back, Vikas. And thanks for accepting this invitation to come back again on such short notice.
My pleasure. Thank you for calling me back, and I'm happy to be here to give more and more value to your audience.
Yes. And I can see why you're called the world's #1 wisdom coach. And today we want to talk a little bit more in depth about some of the things that we have discussed from the previous episode, right?
Okay.
And we felt that we need to peel back the layers right now, right? There was so much good things, but we want more. And today's focus, we want to talk a little bit about some of the books that you have written. This international best-selling books. And actually, I have it here. There are 3 of them. They are called The Little Manual of Success, The Little Manual of Happiness, and The Little Manual of Meditation, right? And I was just reading these 3 books over the last 1 week. I mean, they are small, but they certainly pack a punch. And there's so many aha moments, transformational moments, and so much insights into life that I felt that I should have read these books way earlier. But as they say, nothing is too late, right? And I'm excited about these books. And we'll discuss about some of these concepts that we have written inside these books. But before that, I'd just like to, understand from you, Vikas, what gave you that insight and the impetus to create these 3 little gems that we have with us here today?
That's a great question, Tony, to start out with. And yes, those books are read by thousands and hundreds of thousands of people around the world. But when I wrote them, it was with a single idea. And the idea was that I could see that people in this world, they suffer a lot. People are unhappy. People are living lives without meaning, without purpose. Every morning we get up, we go to work, and we are like robots. We get into this routine life. And years pass by, and people then often wonder, why didn't I get what I wanted? I wanted a sense of fulfillment and success, and why didn't I get that? Or I wanted to create happiness for myself, contentment, and look at how much I've got around me, but I still don't feel content. So where did it go? Where did my life go? What's missing? Usually this happens when people are around the age of 40. So we call it the midlife crisis.
Oh, sounds like me, Vikas.
I must tell you, you're not alone, Tony. If that's you, you're not alone. But I realized that all this is happening because people don't have a clear understanding about their life from the beginning. So that was the inspiration, that one thought on how can I help people to live a life of fulfillment and contentment, a life that is happy on the inside but successful on the outside. And that's the one idea, one thought, one inspiration that led me to creating the 3 books. But I made a plan. You see, one of the secrets of success is to have a plan. Everyone has intentions, but intentions don't mean anything. Intentions are cheap. Everyone has desires and everyone has wishes. And, people say this all the time. I wish I could do that. Yes. Oh, I want to do that. I've set an intention to do that. But all that doesn't change our life. What changes our life is action. And for action, you need a plan. So this is what I coach people with, and this is what I apply to myself. So I created a plan, and my plan was the 3x3 plan.
Okay.
The 3x3 plan was 3 books in 3 years. So you have the 3 books in front of you. The first year I said, I'm going to do the book on success. Because everyone wants to be successful.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants to have a good and comfortable life.
Yes.
And I said, let me show people how to do that. The second year, I wrote a book on happiness. Because once we have success, which is the money part, the wealth part, the prosperity part, then we realize we need something more. Because a life which is externally rich but internally poor is a failure. So I want.
So true.
Yeah. So I want to have internal success, which is happiness. So the second year I said, okay, for people who have been successful to a certain degree, now I'll show them how to be happy. So I wrote the book on happiness. And amazingly, Tony, this will be surprising news. The first year I wrote success, it became a bestseller. Published in multiple languages, printed around the world, international bestseller. But the second year I wrote happiness. And in 1 year, the happiness book outsold the success book.
Wow. We say something.
It tells us
Yep.
that actually what all humans need is the happiness on the inside. And then the third year, I wrote meditation and mindfulness. Why? Because the only way to be happy consistently and sustainably is by training our mind. And training our mind is meditation and mindfulness. So get success, then get happiness. Don't forget, that's the most important treasure. And the way to get happiness is to train your mind, meditation and mindfulness. So it's a complete package. Essentially, if anyone reads those 3 books, they have everything they want to create in their life. And one last thing, you mentioned that they're tiny or small books, and that's intentional. That's intentional. I call them the little manual of success, little manual of happiness, because my entire philosophy, Tony, is minimum effort, maximum result. So if I can say something in 10 words, I don't need to use 100 words for that. So the books are like gemstones, like diamonds, like rubies, like emeralds. They don't come very big, but they're very valuable.
Well said, Vikas. And after reading the 3 books, I can understand why. They are concise and that's just packed with so much life wisdom inside these 3 manuals, right? And let's talk a little bit about our first book,
Okay.
The Little Manual of Success. In this fast-moving world that we are in right now, we see disruptions after disruptions after disruptions. Success sometimes seems elusive, right? And how do we judge? How do we get hold of this success and get more of this success in this fast-paced, fast-changing world? It's something that a lot of people is asking about, especially today, right? So, because in your opinion, right, when we talk about success, we talk about clarity as well, right? How important is things like clarity and passion and perseverance, in one's path towards success?
Okay. So great question, Tony. Once again, I love your questions because your questions help me to give the answers that will help people. So first of all, success is not a global or a communal thing. You see, the number one reason why people at the middle of their life or when they're 50 or 60 realize that what have I done? I've not achieved anything I wanted, is because they have not been following their own path. Success is an individual journey. The first thing we need to do is to define what success means for us, because it's an individual story. There's no thing called global success. There's nothing called communal success. Now, society conditions us to think that way. In every society, in every country, we are told what does it mean to be successful. Parents tell us, our education system tells us, our society and our government tells us. But that's not true for millions of people who live in that country. It's not possible that 10, 20, 30 million people, 500 million people can all have one definition of success. So the first thing, if we want to create success that turns to contentment, is to define what success means for us. And that's where the element of clarity comes in. So I need to get clear by getting deconditioned. So I need to put aside the conditioning that's put upon me, and I need to ask myself, what role do I want to play in my life? What is it that I want to create or achieve so that I can help other people or contribute to the world with it? So the first element is always to find our own clarity. But once we find that clarity, then we have to chart a course. We have to chart a path. How do I get there? Right? And then the third part is we have to be consistent with it. So I have a 3-step formula that I would like to share with you and your viewers.
Yes, please.
I like to, as I said, concise things, but make them also very powerful. So the 3-step formula is very simple. I call it the 3 Ps, right? The 3P formula, PPP. But the first P is all about understanding and embracing your passion. Now, passion is about what puts me on fire. What gives me joy? What gives me energy? What makes me feel like I'm really alive?
What gives you that buzz in life?
Exactly. What makes me feel high without the alcohol? Right? So it's about finding that passion. But some people find it difficult to find their passion. So another word you can use, a synonym would be purpose. If you have a life purpose, if you have a mission you want to accomplish. So the first part is finding that passion or that purpose. And that's where we need clarity. Often that's where we'll need some coaching and some guidance. The second aspect after that is to have a plan. Because once I find my purpose, that's just the starting point.
Right.
It's not the ending point.
Yes.
Most people feel finding their purpose is the ending point of the journey, but it's not. It's the starting the line. It's not the ending line of the race.
Right.
So I need a plan. I need to find a way which can actually step by step take me further, right? Take me to what I want to achieve. And then the third aspect, the third P, is all about progress. And here, what the P means, the progress P means that I must chart, I must measure my progress, and I must measure it in small steps. So I have a strategy called the Small Step Strategy, SSS.
Small Step Strategy.
Small Step
Very
Strategy.
Interesting.
The number one reason why most people fail is because they think too big. We have been conditioned to think big thoughts, think big, take massive action.
Moonshots.
But let me ask you this, right? As children, the way we were designed by 2 billion years of evolution by nature, we were designed to take small steps. Because as children, we learn how to walk before we learn how to run. We learn just how to stand before we learn how to walk.
Right.
So small step strategy is the most natural, most aligned way to our inner potential. And if we take a small step strategy towards our own progress, everyone can succeed. And small step strategy is you chart it day by day. What did I do today in the direction of my dreams, in the direction of my goals? And if you can do that, 1 day plus 1 day plus 1 day, it becomes a lifetime. And it creates success. So very simple way of success. Find your passion, your purpose, create a plan that's sustainable, realistic, and then chart your progress in small steps.
Because I really like the part about small steps, because sometimes, we just find that even with this vision, it seems overwhelming. And if we are able to break down into these micro components, we find that we give us a lot more confidence in moving forward and to celebrate the small wins in life. So whatever you have becomes more achievable.
Yes.
And oftentimes people don't see that, They just see one wall of issues and it's like they couldn't progress because of that. And I love that. And in your book, you mentioned a lot about fear. And this is something that, all of us face it almost every day in our lives. Fear of taking action, procrastination because of fear. And sometimes fear sees you until you're not able to even function, right? How do we look at fear, right? And how do we work on this insidious part of our emotions?
Yeah. So fear is a natural emotion. It's part of our living, part of our life. And there are many elements of fear. In one way, fear is very good. It keeps us alive. We see a tiger, we feel fearful. That's good, right? So it's a biological emotion that's been cultivated by the human being.
Right.
So it's a great thing. Fear of certain elements is a great thing. The problem with us today is that we have created a lot more fears which are not real fears at all. So as in the example of a tiger, if there's a tiger in front of me, I should feel afraid. It would be foolhardy for me to stand there and argue with the tiger. Right? However, the artificial types of fear that I have created are fear of failure. fear of not getting approval from people, fear of the future. These are fears that have been created by my mindset or created by the kind of environment that I live in. Often also a lot with social stimulus coming upon me.
Right.
Because, that's what a lot of economies and companies want us to think, that you have to be afraid, because then, of course, we can buy the products.
Right.
But the point is this, that fear biologically is to serve me. It's meant to serve me. It's a helper. It's a force multiplier. Because when I run away from the tiger, I can create so many other things.
Right.
However, if fear is unmanaged, uncontrolled, then it becomes the greatest enemy.
Right.
So the way wisdom looks at fear, right, the way I would look at fear, is that fear is a messenger. A fear that happens to me to stop me on the path is a messenger that this is the right path. Because I'm scared on this path to my dreams, to my goals, because it's challenging me to get out of my comfort zone. And whenever we step out of what we already are to become bigger, it causes a lot of fear. So in fact, if I'm fearful on a path, it actually shows me that I'm growing on this path. And I need to move forward towards those dreams or towards those passions that I have. So fear is a messenger in many ways. Also, fear is telling me that this path or this direction is going to evolve me. So in a way, fear is an evolutionary tool also. It all depends on the perspective we look at.
So how to harness fear, to switch fear into your ally instead of your enemy, by relooking at it, by changing your perception towards fear, is now the key to overcoming this emotion.
Yeah.
Right? What you just rightly said.
Yeah.
And of course, because that's so important, right? Because fear is a constant thing. It's always at the back of our minds. And every time we go out of our comfort zone, especially in today's world, there's so much fear out there, right? We need to have a proper mechanism to cope with this. And you have rightly showed us one way of looking at it to change our approach towards facing fear. But you also mentioned a lot about courage, right? So taming the fear is one thing. Finding the courage to move ahead is in a way similar and yet slightly different. So how do we find that courage, right, to move forward in the face of overwhelming fear in life, in the circumstances that we face every day?
Yeah, another fantastic question. It's clear to me you have read my book
thoroughly. Yes, I read it very intensely.
Thank you. And great question. So here's the thing. Fear and courage are two opposing forces, energies. So very simple strategy is that if I'm falling into fear, I need to quickly jump to the other side. I need to switch.
Right.
But how do I switch? Secret is that I need to switch my focus. The focus of my mind, the focus of my thoughts. So when I'm feeling fear, it's because the focus that I have in my mindset, my mind is focused on everything that can go wrong.
Right.
How do I switch that? So how do I come into courage? Now, the interesting part about courage is an English word. But the root of courage is the French word, quoi, right? And I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because I'm not French. But quoi. And quoi means heart.
Right.
So courage literally means coming from my heart. And what's in my heart? My heart holds what I love. So one easy way to switch from from fear to courage is to shift the focus from what can go wrong to what I want to create, the future, the vision that I have, from what I think may not work out to how life will be when it works out. So the way I like to put it is that to overcome fear, you have to fall in love again. And you need to fall in love again with your vision, with that future life, with the goals and your dreams achieved, with whatever it is you want to create, turning into reality. If you visualize that and you fall in love with that, you fall in love with your purpose, your passions, your vision, then the fear goes away. It never stops you. You see, the interesting part is, Tony, outside of us, there is no fear. All the fear that we ever feel in our life is all inside us. So fear is an inside game, and overcoming fear is also an inside game.
It's an insider job.
Yep.
So Vikas, we spoke a bit about success. What is it? Why that we need to get clarity? And what are the steps that we need to take to achieve the plans that we want, right? And we talk about the simple steps that we need to embrace. We also talk about how to stare fear in the face and stare it down and turn that fear into courage to live the life that we want, to get the success that we want, right? And with that, I think we will be able to overcome some of these things that we are seeing on the daily basis, whether it's fear of technology adoption, fear of disruptions, so many types of fears, right? But it's a great mechanism for us to overcome all of them. Now, so if we take these steps and we are successful, and successful is different to different people, but let's say we are successful in our career in this instance, right? We are achieving the goals that we have set out to do. But that doesn't necessarily translate to happiness for most of us. I've seen a lot of people who are very successful in their lives, but they are very miserable internally. And you rightly said in your earlier statement about why the happiness book outsold the success book in under a year. Because I think this is what we are seeing, and increasingly so in today's society. So, how do we get more happiness in our life? Because after we have achieved success, right? Maybe you can give us some insights into this elusive happiness that we are talking about.
Yes, Tony, happiness is the greatest motivator of all human beings. You know, at the bottom of everything we desire is the desire for happiness. Let's just think about it for a minute. If I buy a new car, why do I buy a new car? I buy a new car because I think it'll make my life great. You know, I'll be more famous, more successful. Everyone will look at me. But what's beneath that? I enjoy that feeling.
Yes.
I enjoy the feeling that people look at me.
Right.
So actually, it's all about my joy. I buy the car because I believe the car will make me happy. I will never buy the car if I'm confirmed or I believe the car will make me unhappy.
Right.
Why does somebody get in a relationship or get married? Because they believe being in that relationship or being in that marriage will give them safety, security, contentment, you know, that stability of a home.
Right.
They can build their nest and have eggs in the nest.
Right.
And they believe that will make them happy. But if we really believed or thought that getting married or hooked to someone, right, engaged to someone, or having a family and having children will make us unhappy, we would never do it. So the root, the fundamental, the primal emotion that drives us is the emotion of happiness. There are two narratives on how we achieve it. The first narrative is the more industrial narrative, the industrial age narrative, which is you buy more, you're more happy.
Right.
Buy this, buy that, buy that, buy that. The next thing will give you the happiness you seek.
Right.
Current house is not making you happy. Make a bigger house. Buy a bigger house. That'll make you happy. Right? The clothes you wear now are not the ones. Then the new fashion which comes out will make you happier. Right? Your current boyfriend or girlfriend is not the right one for you. It's not making you happy. There's work to be done in this relationship. Doesn't matter. Change the model and you'll be happier. However, this narrative leads to failure. Right. It's only a matter of time. Some people learn the lesson very quickly. Some people go through 50 years trying and then they give up. Because the next thing cannot make me happy or content, because contentment is an inner job. Inner engineering. Absolutely. So if there's the next thing that's going to make me happy and I buy that or I get that, then there'll always be a next thing and there'll always be a next thing. So the line never ends. There is no finish line to the next thing. The second narrative is that you must train yourself. Because it's an inner job, because it's an inner game, you must work on your inner game first. Which means that you must train your mind to find the contentment in what you have. Now, this is not a passive contentment. This doesn't say, okay, whatever I have, I should be happy with it.
Yes.
Because that's very passive.
Right.
Happiness is a very joyful experience, a joyful emotion. And anything joyful wants to grow.
Right.
Naturally, anything joyful is very fertile. So it's an active contentment, which says that I'm blessed to have what I have. I'm content to have what I have. I'm so fortunate to have what I have. But at the same time, I aspire for more. But I aspire for more from a foundation of contentment. And then an amazing equation of life comes forth, which means that you live in happiness but you also end up creating more. And if you look at the history of our planet, there have been innovations done in moments of peace, in moments of war. By moments, I'm speaking on a global scale, so a moment can be an era or a decade. So in a decade of war, tons and tons of innovation happened, creativity happened, creation happened. Sadly, because people were in a state of war and negativity and aggression, the innovations also arise from us.
Yes.
All technology arises from human beings.
Right.
So we are the root and we give the fruit. The fruit is the technology. So therefore, the technology, the innovations that happened in the times of crisis were also of a destructive bent. They were meant for war. They were meant for conflict. Whereas if you look at the times of peace, times of positivity, then you have the Great Renaissance. You have the Enlightenment era. You have the art and the museums and the Louvre and the Vatican happened. All of these things started to happen when there were moments of peace. So creation happens out of discontent or contentment. Both. However, what you create will be totally different. Yes. And the highest way of life is to create from a place of positivity and inner peace. And contentment is the starting point.
Because that's really profound. I never look at it that way. I always think that, in my personal opinion, that I look at things like conflict. They create the greatest inventions because of the needs of that time. But I never compare it this way in terms of the outcome of the creation, when you look at this creation that's created out of peace and happiness. Really interesting. Really something to really think about, And I want to bring back to the point that you mentioned earlier about the next shiny toy. Right. And I think it happens to the best of us. And you save up and you get this car, and suddenly your neighbor comes in with a new shiny model, and suddenly I want that. And suddenly there's no joy in the current car that you have spent all this time and all these savings on the car. The joy goes away, right? And you are so focused on that car, and when you wake up and you look at the things that you have around you, you're not mindful because your mind just catches on for the next shiny thing out there. And I do really think that if we have a mindset like that, it's going to steal away the joy and happiness in us. There won't be any contentment. And the interesting thing that you spoke about in your book, there's so many interesting things, but I'm going to just pick up a few here, right? You talk about control. Now, this is a big thing. Everybody wants control. Parents want control. Company CEOs want control. We want to control our lives. And I think this word control is a double-edged sword, right? And you mentioned that we need to give up this concept of control to get our happiness in life. Because could you maybe elaborate a little bit more and share with us, just exactly what you mean?
Yeah. So seeking control is a natural state of the human being. It's a natural emotion. We like things to be the way we want them to be. It gives me a sense of being stable, being secure. So you see, the need for control is actually driven by the need for security. I don't feel secure if I have things out of my control, right? However, if you look at it realistically, just how much can we control in our life? Let me take myself as an example here, okay? I'll be the guinea pig for 2 minutes. Now, I have a big life. I have clients and students around the world. Right, my books are read all over the world. I'm a speaker. I coach people from CEOs to award-winning entrepreneurs to award-winning research scientists to Hollywood celebrities. You know the whole thing, right? The challenge is this, that when I look at my own life and all these big circles of my life and people and influence, and I question, what can I really control? Can I control my wife? Answer is no. In fact, I don't even try.
That's wise.
Let's say if you have children, can you control your children? The answer is no. Let's say you have employees. Can you control your employees? Even though you pay them to do the job. You give them a job description. They know exactly what to do, what not to do. Can you control them? You can't. Can you control your society? You can't. Can you control the economy? You can't. Can you control the governments? You can't. What can you control, really? Can you control your neighbor? You can't. Can you control the car driving in front of you? You can't. So what can I really control in my life, even though my life spans the globe? The only thing I can control is myself. The only thing I can control in my entire life is this, what's sitting here. And that means there are 3 parts of me that I can control. I can control my mindset. I can control my emotions and what I feel inside. And I can control my actions. And essentially for every human being, that's the only thing that we can control. Now, I want to give you a formula again. You know, I love formulas.
Thank you, Vikas.
Yeah. I call it the 90-10 formula.
90-10.
90-10 formula. The 90-10 formula is very simple. 90% of your life you can't control. And you will never be able to control. So don't try to control it. Because when we try to control what we can't control, it creates stress and struggle and unhappiness. So that's the 90% out of my control. But the 10% in my life I can control. And that's me. And that 10% I must control. Because wisdom is to control what you can control and release what you can't control. Now, if I control the 10%, the 90% doesn't bother me.
How so, Vikas?
Because when I can control the 10%, I can always control how I respond to the 90% around me. Because we are, after all, always in a state of interaction and interconnection and interdependence with the world around us. If I try to control what I can't control, it leads to unhappiness. But if I'm in control of myself, I can always learn to respond to what I'm not in control of. And therefore, I can make the changes. Another way to totally embrace this is that the more I can control my inner self, the more I can influence my outer world. And that's the 90-10 rule. So I need to make sure that I'm in charge and I'm in control of my mindset, my daily emotions, and the actions that I bring to my day every day, my table of life. Because when I can do that, I can actually respond to everything that's happening in the external world. And it changes the impact and the influence that you will have in your life.
Again, another very profound 90-10 tip from you, Vikas. And I think is if we are able to release this concept of control, because ultimately we know that it's not real, there's no such as absolute control, then I think that we will then release a lot of stress and unnecessary negative emotions and focus on things that we really can do. And I think that it will be a lot more effective for organizations and for your personal growth as well, if you look at it that way. Really, really interesting, right? About control. But another big theme that I want to bring out is the concept of self-love.
Yes.
Right. And it is something that is much discussed, but little is understood. What do you mean by self-love, right? And how does this play out in your goal towards getting more happiness in life, Vikas?
So self-love is really the root of everything, Tony. Okay? Because self-love is about embracing the 2 aspects of you. For everyone. The 2 aspects of me are, number 1, the imperfect me. Because there's no person on this planet who is completely in a state of perfection or who is exactly as they should be. The second aspect of me is the perfect aspect of me. But the perfect aspect hides within the imperfect aspect. So to put it simpler, every human being is part perfect and largely imperfect. Okay. And you know, one way to stay humble is for every man and every woman out there, is to really ask your partner that, do you think I'm perfect? And you get the real answer. And then you sort of be humble and you're nice. But the point being that we are all in a state of imperfection. And that's perfect. I'll say that again because it's really something that has to sink in. When we hear it for the first time, our mind is like, what was that? We are all in a state of imperfection. And that's perfect. Because that's how it's supposed to be. We are masterpieces in the act of creation. We are works in progress. So there's never going to be a place where we arrive which is just perfection. So self-love is about me embracing me the way I am, but then again, not being passive about it. Just like what we talked earlier. Embracing myself in the way I am, perfect and imperfect, and then striving to always be bigger and better and brighter and higher. than where I am. So I constantly want to evolve because that's another element of me. However, I don't fight with who I am in the moment. Because if I'm fighting with myself, I become my worst enemy. And I cannot bring out the best in myself. I need to be a person of integrity. And the word integrity literally is coming from the word integral and then integer, something that cannot be divided. I need to be one complete whole within myself. And then I can go out and I can solve any problems and come up with any sort of creative, innovative ideas that I need to do. But that is the beginning. Self-love is about me being my own friend and not being my own enemy.
Wow, that's profound. And you mentioned a little bit about celebrating life every day. I think that was one of the key points as well, right? Don't delay living. Because you mentioned that a lot of us here, we are always waiting for a reason to celebrate.
Yep.
Can you again, because share us a little bit about why we have this concept about not celebrating life and delay living our best life?
Yeah, Tony, so I'm called the wisdom coach, right? And one of my key principles, my core principles of everything I teach is this: that the goal of wisdom is a life of celebration. So why do I need wisdom? Because I need to celebrate life. Why do I need to celebrate life? Because it's the greatest gift. If I don't have life, I don't have anything else either. Right? I mean, life itself is the greatest gift. But you see, the problem with human beings is that whatever we have, we take it for granted. And we don't realize its value till we lose it.
Right.
Now, if you look at life, life is very fragile. Even though we may live 70, 80, 90 years, life is so fragile. Because it can end in a day.
Right.
And let's say it doesn't end. It can completely turn upside down in a day.
Yes. Yes.
Because your finances may turn upside down. Your relationship may turn upside down. Your health may turn upside down in a day. And then everything changes in life. So life is the greatest gift. And if I have life, let's just take it one step deeper. If I have life, when am I living it? I'm living it in today. Because tomorrow is something as yet unseen. What about the past? I mean, all of us have a story of the past, but really, where is our past living? The past is nowhere except in my head. So the way to understand it easier is that the past is dead except in my head. And my head is here right now.
Right.
So the only reality I have available is the day-to-day. And therefore, the goal of wisdom is for me to celebrate this day. It doesn't matter if I have my perfect life, if I have my perfect relationship, if I have my perfect health, if I have my perfect wealth. It doesn't matter. But I must celebrate this gift.
Yes.
Because a gift is meant to be celebrated. In fact, that's why it's called the present, because it's like a birthday present.
Wow. I think it's so profound because most of us are so fragmented in our thoughts. We are either living the past or we are living the future. How many of us actually celebrates our day? How many of us is actually present on the daily basis to optimize our lives? I think this is something that everybody should pay attention to because you will maximize the quality of your life if you just understand that simple fact that you've spoken about. Because
yeah. So Tony, I like the word you just used, optimize. I love that word. Okay, it's big for me. Because everyone is existing. Not everyone is living. There's two different categories there. Existence is just being alive. You get up in the morning, you breathe. That's life. But that's a level of existence. But optimizing life, the real living, is a level of celebration. And that, the celebration of life, is a life optimized. And look, we have so much to celebrate. It doesn't matter how today went. I'm here now with you on the wonderful Tony Tan podcast show. Reason to celebrate.
Yes.
I'm being invited back for the second time. Reason to celebrate. I'm getting an opportunity to share my wisdom and strategies with hundreds of thousands of people. Reason to celebrate.
Yes.
I'm healthy today. Reason to celebrate. I had a great coffee. Reason to celebrate, right? I had a lunch. I have money in the bank. Reason to celebrate.
Yes.
Tons and tons and tons of reasons we all have. But we forget that because we focus on what we don't have. And focusing on what we don't have is not living in an optimized way.
it comes back to the earlier point that you mentioned about contentment and active contentment, right? So now we see this whole thing tying back all together, right? Everything coming together on how to live a life of happiness. So because we spoke about happiness, and we know now that what we need to do and how to celebrate life and live life in a way that we can enjoy every moment of it. And we also talk about how we could be successful in any plans that we want to make, given the right mental models. Now I want to switch gear a little bit and talk a little bit about the third book, right? The Little Manual of Meditation. Right? Now, this word meditation is, of course, different people have different understanding of this word meditation. And I know that in the last podcast, we spoke a little bit about the difference between some people call it mindfulness, some people call it meditation, and you have given us some very good analogy to help us to debunk the differences about these two. Maybe because you can help us to reinforce, right, for our audience who are new to today's episode, about the difference between these two, and then we can go a little bit deeper on some of the benefits of this profound exercise.
Okay, excellent. So let's look at our lives. We start our day in the morning, and what's the first thing that starts to be active in me? Most people would think it's my body. I get up, I come out of bed, I go brush my teeth, I make a cup of coffee. They would think it's physical activity. But actually, if you look a little bit deeper, then you'll realize that the first thing that starts every day is mental activity. When I wake up in the morning, I start to think. Thoughts are the first movement in my day. My thoughts literally start my day for me. And when we look at it a further point, which is the end of my day, what's the last thing that happens as I end my day when I'm going to sleep? And again, the answer is very simple, that my thoughts are the last thing that end my day for me. So my day starts with thinking, my day ends with thinking. And throughout the day, I'm thinking thoughts. And then, of course, from my thinking comes my action. My thinking leads me to emotions which drive my actions. And then that's what creates my life for me. So this whole basis of thinking, this whole realm of thinking, the mind, is the meaning, the core of meditation. So meditation is an ancient science. It's an ancient school of wisdom in a way. It's completely non-religious, but it's all about understanding myself. By understanding my mind and the kind of thoughts that happen in my mind and what do the thoughts lead to. And it's, thousands and thousands of years old. And for someone who truly understands it, it's very scientific, it's very structured. Today, science is now validating everything that meditation talked about. A study done by Harvard recently, a few years ago, actually for the first time demonstrated with proof that 8 weeks of focused meditation will restructure your brain.
Wow.
How powerful is that? Something they thought was impossible to be done before. But without doing any surgery on my brain, if I sit down and meditate for 8 weeks at a stretch, I can actually alter the gray matter within my brain. Scientifically proven. And like this, tons and tons of studies have been done. So what is meditation? Meditation is an ancient science of how the mind works and how my whole life is created, because my life is created by the mind being the start, by the mind being the root, and the life is the fruit. Meditation was that original science. And about maybe 50, 60 years later, 50, 60 years earlier from today, a part of this science was taken and called mindfulness. And that's the difference between the two. So meditation is ancient, thousands and thousands of years old, very scientific, very structured, and completely non-religious. And mindfulness is just one part coming out of it. So I think I mentioned that meditation is like a loaf of bread, and mindfulness is like a slice of that bread. Or sometimes I love food, so why only stop at bread? Meditation is the whole pizza, and mindfulness is one slice of the pizza.
Wow. And because I tend to totally agree with what you say. There's so much scientific proof coming out about this topic about meditation, right? The benefits of it is profound. And if I look at your book, you dissect the benefits in 3 areas, right? And one of the areas you talk about is happiness. The other area you talk about is creativity. And the third area you talk about is health. All 3 critical elements to living a very successful life. But first of all, let's talk about happiness. How does a meditation practice lead us to be a more happy individual?
Tony, it's all about where we put our focus. You know, if my focus is always on what's missing in my life, missing in my relationship, missing in my health, then I'm always going to be unhappy. Because whatever I focus on creates the emotion I feel. My focal point defines my emotional state. Powerful law. So if I'm focusing on the fact that, let's say, I have $1,000, my emotional state is that of confidence, contentment. But I have that $100, and now I focus on the fact that why don't I have 500? And my emotional state changes to one of fear, insecurity, discontentment. So my focal point defines my emotional state. That's the one thing to remember. If I can understand that, then happiness becomes easy. Because the secret of happiness is to train my mind to focus on reasons to be happy. And no matter who we are, no matter, who the person listening to this is, where they are in this world, what age they are, I can promise you they have reasons to be happy. The challenge is that most of us don't focus on what we have. We are always thinking of what we don't have. And when that happens, happiness flies out of the window. Because my focal point defines my emotional state. So happiness is achievable and easy, and it can be sustainable when I train my mind to focus on reasons to be happy. So training the mind is the critical element in creating inner happiness.
Wow, okay. So we will talk a little bit about that, how we're going to train our mind later. I think that one is something I'm dying to find out more because I need more happiness in my life right now.
Yeah.
And the other thing we talk about is creativity, which is something that so many of us want on a constant basis, especially influencers, speakers, authors, music creators. Is there a secret formula that we can get more creativity into our life? We want more juice because we want to juice the maximum out of life. Please share with us how does meditation as a practice allows us to become a more creative individual for all the influencers that's out there.
Yeah. Okay, so one very good analogy to think of this is, let's say, this cup, right? We have this beautiful mug that you presented me with. The future in the present, the Tony Tan show, right? But let's say this mug is full of coffee. Now, if this mug is full of coffee, there's nothing else I can pour into it.
Right.
For me to be able to pour anything into it, for this mug to be able to hold anything new, first thing is that it needs to have space.
Right.
Secret of wisdom. The usefulness of the mug is in the emptiness it brings.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Vikas?
The usefulness of the mug is in the emptiness it brings.
Okay.
Which means if it's full, it's not useful, right? It's already full. I can't put anything else in it. When it's empty, it's useful. I can put anything in it. Now, if I want to be more creative, Tony, and let's say this is my mind, because creativity is a product of the mind. Creative ideas, innovative ideas. I'm giving a big secret here. I'm sure some of your audience will use these secrets and become millionaires and billionaires in the future.
Wow.
If you do, please contact me.
For sure, Vikas.
So let's say I'm looking for a creative solution. My company is struggling. I need to have a breakthrough. Or I'm a scientist. We are stuck with a problem. How do I come out of this problem? I need a solution. Could be anything. Health, wealth, financial, emotional, relationship, anything. I need a solution, creative solution. But the problem is, my life is already so full. I've got a ton of things to do every day. I've got an endless to-do list. I've got KPIs to meet in my job. My wife is expecting me to do 10 things. My kids want my time. Even my friends want to meet me. And then on top of that, I've got all the social media friends. I've got 5,000 friends.
Yep.
And never before in history did anyone have 5,000 friends. I'm talking about Facebook friends, right?
Yeah.
So my life is so full. If my life is so full, I don't have any breathing space. I have no time for myself, no downtime, no silent time, no still time. It's like a cup, a mug, which is totally full. then where's the space for any creative ideas to come? So the first thing I need to do if I want to get creative is I need to learn how to empty the cup. And what that means in practical terms is I need to learn how to slow down, how to still my mind. And that's where meditation comes in. Techniques of meditation help me to calm down and slowly take things out of my mind. And when I create that space in my mind, then an amazing thing happens, that the solution that I'm seeking suddenly pops up.
Maybe the solution was there all along.
The solution was out there all along. And now it suddenly pops up. Of course, to me, it feels like it's coming from inside. But if it was coming from inside, it could have come earlier.
Right.
But the point is, I didn't have the space. So when I create a space, now I can bring in more. And that is the secret of creativity. Meditators generally are more creative than non-meditators. And it's not because we have some special superpowers, even though that's pretty sexy, but it's because we just have more space. We just have more space for new ideas to come in. No space, no creativity. So stillness and silence and solitude is one of the precursors, one of the essential elements of creativity to happen. Let me put it in another way, Tony. This is a subject I'm very passionate about, and I'll share a mental model with you later that we must talk about more. But if a person is active, hyperactive, stressed out, has no time for themselves, cannot be still, cannot be quiet, cannot find solitude, it's very difficult for them to be creative. Think of Einstein. Einstein had a problem. He was focused on the problem. So focused that he forgot what was happening around him. He worked in a lab. He worked with people. These are instances, they're written about. Working with people in a lab, he's so focused, he just sits down and in that focus, he gets lost in his own thoughts. Comes time for the office to shut down. The people around him ask him 3 times, do you want to leave? Do you want to leave? Do you want to leave? He doesn't even hear them. He's just so focused in his that focal point is, how do I find the solution? To the extent that he forgets everything else. Almost like everything else leaves his mind. Because he's not focusing on it. He's not conscious of it. The people leave, they leave him in the office alone by himself. Now he's in silence and he's solitude. Sitting there in silence and solitude by himself, no activity, no hyperactivity, no noise, no stimulus. Suddenly, boom! And he gets the idea. It's like that eureka moment. It's like that aha, it's like that wow, It's like that inner breakthrough. But only when there is space.
Right.
When the cup is full, nothing new comes in.
And meditation allows us to create a space that we all deserve.
Yes.
Right. And what we are saying is that let's create some stillness in our life, right? Just like our podcast studio here, right? So that external noise don't comes in and we can do our best work at that point.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, Vikas, we talk about creativity, we talk about happiness for meditation. Let's talk about health. Another big thing, right? And there is so many research out there is talking about how meditation is free, right? But the health benefits are profound. And why is that? Why is that so, in your opinion? Why are we seeing all this research now talking about all the awesome benefits of meditation can bring to our health today?
Tony, it's because of the fact that actually our body has its own intelligence, right? Our body knows how to heal itself. And our body also knows how to stay in balance. So when I'm in a natural state of being, which means that when I'm not using my ego or my mind to force my body has its own rhythm. Humans are after all animals. We are after all products of nature. And just like animals work on a circadian rhythm, we also work on a circadian rhythm. So we know, our bodies know when we are tired, we know when we are hungry, we know when we need to sleep. The body, the intelligence of the body, the intelligence of the cells knows that. But again, we have stepped in, man himself has stepped in and told the body, I know better than you. So in ancient times, and just like animals do, when it gets dark, they sleep. But look at our society today. We don't sleep when it gets dark or soon after that. Let's say it gets dark by 8. We should be sleeping by 9:30. But the problem is people are still active like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, Either they are partying. Now, partying is an unnatural act. And also, why party at night? Why can't you party during the day? But we have created a system like that. Do you follow that? You can't party in the day because you are at work. So celebration is not bad. You want to celebrate, go celebrate. But celebrate before your sleeping time, because otherwise you're sacrificing the health of your body. But we can't do that because of the systems we have created. So people are partying till 2 o'clock. And they're pumping themselves up with alcohol and food. Now, is that natural? No, it's not. Right? The first time anyone drinks alcohol, the first time anyone smokes, what happens? Our body rejects it. But then we tell the body, I know better than you. So keep drinking, keep smoking. Actually, the point I'm trying to make is this, right? That the body and the intelligence of the body knows how to be healthy. And when we get our ego and our mind out of the way, the body can restore itself. Meditation is one way to calm the mind down. So the mind doesn't want to control it so much. The ego doesn't drive us so much. When we calm the mind down, the intelligence of the body heals itself. When we are hungry, we eat. When we are tired, we sleep. One of the great masters of wisdom and meditation was one day asked by one of his students, Master, what is the highest level of wisdom? And this master's answer was so beautiful and so profound and so mysterious. He said the highest level of wisdom is that when you're hungry, you eat. When you're tired, you sleep. End of answer. Which means get out of the damn way. Let your body and your intelligence and your natural rhythms be the leader. So the body doesn't fall sick without reason, right? If we move away from health, it's with reason. We punish our body in some ways. I mean, look at, in some ways, I want to talk about how some patterns have been changing throughout the world. And if you look at it, eyesight is one of the things that's been constantly changing in the last 50 years. Why is that? Because now our lifestyle for most people is that, the distance that we are seeing is only like 20, 30 feet. We don't see anything bigger because we're looking at one building to another. Or I'm looking at my computer screen and I've got all that blue light coming in me.
Right.
Is that natural? Is that a part of nature? Not at all. Now, I understand that we shouldn't give up computers, we shouldn't give up the mobile phone, but to get addicted to the mobile phone and to be looking at it at 2 o'clock in the morning and listening to all your Facebook friends, 5,000 writing to you, that's unnatural.
Right.
So, of course, it's going to affect your eyes. Of course, it's going to affect your health.
Right.
Meditation also says that the thought you go to sleep with is the thought you sleep with for 7 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Deep wisdom there.
Yes.
Now, if I go to sleep with a thought from social media, something somebody said or something someone criticized me about, I'm sleeping with that thought for 6 hours, 7 hours. I mean, shouldn't we choose who we sleep with? Of course. But see, we have forgotten that. Meditation and wisdom tells us that you should sleep with a positive thought. So I have a simple rule that in my home, me and my wife, we follow this rule that we have no electronics in the bedroom. Apart from an alarm clock, no phones, no laptops, no iPads, no TV in the bedroom. Because the bedroom is the bedroom. It's got a bed.
Right.
The bedroom is meant for two things.
Right.
Right? Both of them begin with S. One is sleep.
Yes.
The other one's not for the show.
Rightly so, because interesting. And I want to point out to an earlier statement that you said about we are moving away from a natural state. And you look at the animal kingdom, none of them wear glasses except human beings, right?
Yeah.
And that's really interesting, right? We have created all these systems and we find ourselves trapped inside.
Yes.
And meditation is a way for us to return back to our natural state, into a deep, relaxed state that you mentioned in your book, right? To reclaim the space that you have. So if you look at it, it is something that's free. Everyone can do it. But if we can unleash health, we can create creativity, and we can focus on happiness. And it's one of those exercises that everyone should do in their lives on a daily basis, right? To reclaim time for ourselves from all this madness that's our daily lives. So, because I want it very badly. So tell us and the audience, how should we meditate?
Yeah.
Do you have some quick wins for us, right? That we can do it, and incorporate as part of our daily lives.
Yeah. Tony, it's a great question. But the best way to learn meditation is to learn it through a qualified teacher.
Right.
Because it's about the science of the mind.
Right.
The mind is something you cannot see. To learn about what you cannot see from a non-qualified source, from a wrong source, would be the worst mistake you can make in your life. So I would say that yes, it's a free practice. Once you learn it, you can do it yourself. But to learn it well, you'll need to make an investment of time and energy and effort and money.
Right.
To go find a good teacher. To maybe even read a good book. That'll still cost you $30, $20, whatever. To go for a training program, that'll take time. So learn it well would be my first criteria. Find a good teacher and learn it well. And second, once you have got a good teacher and you have learned it from a good teacher, the second element after that is now you need to put it into a consistent practice. The good part here is that when I teach meditation, I teach people that there are practices you can do in 2 or 3 minutes. 2 or 3 minutes. And everyone can do that. It doesn't matter how busy you are. I coach some people who are multimillionaires running big companies, and even they can do it because they are so busy, but they can still find the time to do it. So you and I have no excuse.
Right.
The third part is be patient. So find a good teacher, learn the right way. Second, be consistent in your practice. And the third part is you've got to be patient. Because a lot of people think that I'll start meditating and, poof, my life will turn upside down. Everything what I wanted will come back. And it takes time. It took you 20 years of bad habits to spoil your life. Come on. At least you should be willing to invest 2% or 10% of that, 2 years.
And I understand because Soul Center is the leading meditation training organization in Singapore. Right, you guys have been featured on so many advertisements and even in BBC. Right, so you guys will have the full capabilities and curriculum, right, to bring people onto this path.
Yes, absolutely, Tony. I dedicated my life to teaching people wisdom and meditation. Meditation is one of the tools that I teach to all the people I coach.
Right.
And so we have been doing this in Singapore for 15 years. We are recognized as Asia's premier center for meditation and mindfulness. Right. And we start from beginner level. People can come, and if they can't come to Soul Center, if they're not in Singapore, they can start with one of the online programs that we offer. Just get in touch with us or check out our website. Then we go to intermediate level, and then we have the third level, which is the master's level, the master class. And then we train people on how to be meditation teachers and mindfulness teachers and go out and change the world. So absolutely, yes, we have been featured in, Straits Times and Business Times and BBC, all over the world, essentially. And I believe that's because of the results we produce.
Right, Vikas, and this is so profound because the things that you mentioned, right, and I'm coming from an area of digital innovations, artificial intelligence, and the right mental models that we need to adopt for this world of disruptions, right? And what you have just mentioned, the mental models are so critical.
Yes.
Right, so critical, especially today and moving forward, right? As I rightly mentioned earlier, the pace of change is just phenomenal. Never in my career have I seen changes like that, right? And this is now more important than ever before. And I'm really thinking about, is there an opportunity for us, to bring these mental models and bring the future of technology, combine together and create a model so that people can harness this wisdom, right? And optimize their lives for the future of digital innovation and artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Tony, it's very interesting you mentioned that, okay? Because I have a mental model that I've created, and I think it is going to be the one element which gets people ready for the future that's coming. And why is this so important? Let me frame that for everyone, right? Why they need to seriously do this. Because the new age is an age of technology. Artificial intelligence is here. However, without the right mentality, technology is a danger. Individually, collectively. Without the right mentality, technology becomes a danger, an enemy. So we need to develop the right mentality first. And the model that I have is a 3-part model of how the mind works. The first part of the mind is, and I'm revealing this here for the first time.
Oh, this is exciting.
And I think it's fantastic because I think your audience is going to need it. And I think, in fact, Okay, let me tell you the model first, Tony. See, talking about inspiration, empty the cup. I've just had a brilliant idea. But the first part of the mental model, because we all have a mind and it's invisible, but for people who know, people who have studied it, we understand it deeply. The way I look at the mind, there are three parts of the mind. The first part of the mind is the intelligent mind. This is the mind which works with logic. This is the mind which works with structure. This is the mind which is A plus B equals C. The mathematical model.
Right.
But that's only one part of it. And in fact, the smallest part of it. The second part of my mind is the intuitive mind, where inspiration and intuition comes from. This is the mind which Einstein, boom, was using when suddenly he gets his ideas. Archimedes was using, right? Newton was using. All the great inventors used the innovative mind. But the challenge is, how do I get there? Because this mind is going external, always external focus. How do I get to the intuitive mind? However, the third element of the mind is the imaginative mind. It's the mind which is not seeking one particular solution, but it is the mind which is creating a whole new vista, a whole new world, a whole new ecosystem for the future. And that mind is the largest part of the mind. And these are the three different areas of the mind, the three different facets of the diamond of the mind. However, right at the bottom of it all is the mind, which is the root. It's the root of all these three flowers, let's say. And the root mind is the mind which is connected to totality. And that mind is what I call the super conscious mind. That is the root of everything. And I have this mental model where we can go into all the different elements and we can grow that. But you know what's my brilliant idea today?
Do share, Vikas.
My brilliant idea is, look, I'm an expert and a master of the mind. But you are an expert at the future that's coming, bringing the future in the present. I love this line of yours. You know?
Thank you very much.
I love this line. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But you are the person who's bringing the future models into the present. You're an expert on artificial intelligence, AI. Why shouldn't we collaborate to create a mental model, which I just explained, but we create it to make people future ready, to get people for the age, to get ready for the age of AI. We create a mental model that brings people into the right mentality so that technology becomes their friend. What do you think?
Because I'm very excited about this. You know, this is something that has been I've been thinking for a while now, and I think this particular area is missing from a lot of. It is a area that you don't see much, and people don't talk much about it. But in my opinion, talking to all authorities in this area, it is the most significant part.
Yeah.
Ultimately, technology is a servant to human beings, right? We need to focus to harmonize the two of them to bring out the greatest potential. And I certainly look forward to work with you to create something that we can benefit to all the people out there, so that they are able to use their fear to their advantage, to live well with technology and to optimize their life to live a well-meaning life together.
Awesome.
So I'm definitely 100% into this, because, and I hope that once we created this model, we are able to share with our audience sometime in the near future, so that they're able to benefit and get insights on how to optimize these two pillars together for the future.
Mm.
And Vikas, thank you so much today again. I'd like to iterate or reinforce a couple of important points that we spoke about. Some of the most important.
Wait, before you go there, Tony.
Yes.
So are we doing this? Are we going to create a mental model for the future? Are we going to create a mental model working together, two experts coming together? Remember, the sum of the parts is always bigger than the whole, right?
Yes.
When you add two parts together, the sum of the parts is always bigger than the whole that we create. So let's do that.
Definitely.
Do we have a deal?
Definitely a deal. It's
Done.
It's a go.
Boom.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yes, that's why I'm very excited about this, because as I mentioned, this is something that I'm really looking forward to, and it's been in the back of my mind for a while. And I'm seeing all these pieces coming together. I'm very sure we'll be able to put this together very, very soon for our audience, so that they can benefit from it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm sure we will be able to announce this in one of the upcoming episodes and share more about these mental models with our audience.
Awesome.
Right, so that they have a deeper insight on how this mental model works for today's world.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So Vikas, thank you once again for for sharing with me and also working with me, right, on this exciting new model. And we have seen why happiness, success, and why meditation comes together as a whole, and how this whole works together and able to bring the future into the present at the same time. So this is all really, really exciting. And I'm sure that we will want to make sure that this video gets shared to as many people as possible so they can all benefit from the wisdom that you have shared today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Vikas, once again, thank you on behalf of our audience for joining us on our second episode together on The Tony Tan Show. And I look forward to do more and collaborate with you and bring this wisdom to the masses.
Thank you, Tony. It's been a pleasure to be here, and let's together serve the world.
Thank you, Vikas. See you soon.
Thank you, Tony.
Goodbye. Hi, everyone. Thank you once again for watching the Tony Tan Show and podcast. We are very honored today to have with us back to the show Vikas Malkani, the world's #1 wisdom coach, where he has shared with us formulas to increase our successes, like the Triple P system, and also the 90-10 formula on control that gives us back happiness, and the power of meditation to optimize our lives and live our best lives. If you find this episode valuable, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so that you'll be informed of more exciting episodes coming your way. My name is Tony Tan, and watch out for the next episode. See you soon.